truckers of Reddit, since you have a height advantage over mostly everyone on the road, what was the weirdest thing you have seen someone doing in their car? A lot of bathroom stuff. Bathrooms can be hard to find in some areas, so it's somewhat understandable, but occasionally you get surprised. The common is a guy urinating in a bottle, but I have also seen a young woman, the driver, stop her car on a very slowly moving on-ramp, 1 mph due to heavy congestion on the highway it was merging to, get out, drop her pants to her ankles, and urinate on the on-ramp with hundreds of people watching. I saw everything. B. Same as A, but she just hung her ass out the driver's window and urinated into the wind on her car because we were all doing about 10 miles per hour. Bizarre. C. A man defecate while driving. He laid out a newspaper on the bench seat next to him, dropped his pants, hovered his ass over the paper, and let loose, then cleaned up, rolled up the soiled paper and put in a plastic bag. We are doing about 10 miles per hour at the time. He must have really had to go. A kid in an automatic Honda pretending it is a stick shift. That might have been me. I like to pretend. In my FedEx truck I saw a guy getting roadhead in a 1980s type limousine at a stoplight. The whole thing, the limo, his face, haircut, everything was like out of a low budget wedding singer porno. I think I've seen that one. It's alright. When I was in junior high school we were on a field trip and stuck on the bus in traffic. One of the kids whispers to the guys nearby that he thinks a chick is touching herself. So we all pile over to the window and see some chick in a Miata and she just has her hand in her lap. Everyone is disappointed and the kid catches heck for it. Some time passes then the kid yells out, "I told you so." We run over and sure enough her hand was up her skirt and she was diddling herself. This time almost the whole bus pretty much is looking over, including the chaperone. Once she figured out what we were looking at she turned a verbal water hose on us and made us all sit down and face forwards. Then she went back to the front of the bus where the other adults were and started giggling about it. I always found the mental image hilarious of a school bus full of kids with their noses pressed up on the glass, watching a young woman in a sundress casually going knuckles deep without the slightest clue. After that we spent every bus trip till high school looking into the cabins of passing cars just in case. On our way to an away game for football we saw a guy getting roadhead. We about tipped the bus over when everyone dived over to catch a glimpse. I've seen fricking of all kinds with all types of objects, but nothing beats seeing an older guy sleeping in the driver's seat with presumably the cruise control on and his elderly wife holding the wheel. That one got a nice long air horn. Maybe the older guy had died at the wheel and the woman was trying to control the car. Was stopped at a light and saw a girl dig in her butt crack for a good 5 seconds, pull her finger out and stare at it, then gave it a good sniff, then wipe it off on her shirt. And so I was born. I've seen someone getting a hand job. I've seen someone choking the chicken. I saw a little ankle biter dog on the shelf behind the rear seat of a car taking a dump. A car was next to me on the interstate. The driver felt fine about driving right alongside me until the sucker's hood came off and hit my windshield and driver's side door. He hit the gas and kept on driving. I know I've seen lots more, especially car accidents where a car is around a pole or flipped upside down and you wonder how the heck they got that way because you're in town. It's 35 miles per hour and it's too busy to go flying down the road. I hope the chicken is alright. Old lady, doing 20 under the limit. I pass, only to find out that the lady is knitting a goddamned sweater. Pull over. No, it's a cardigan. My buddy drove a truck across country and once told me he saw 2 different guys playing the trumpet while driving. Like, the actual brass instrument. That's not a euphemism for anything. I once drove by an elderly man in a chauffeur's suit driving a Chrysler LeBaron. In the back was a teenager in a tuxedo and a completely naked elderly woman. I don't know what the frick was going on, but it reinforced my opinion that LeBarons are the creepiest vehicle on the road. I used to be a FedEx driver, so not quite an 18-wheeler, but I was still high up in my truck and could see down into people's cars pretty easily. One morning I'm heading out for the start of my route, and I'm in morning rush hour traffic. I come to a stop at a red light. Traffic stopped all around me. I glance out my window, down at the car next to me, and what do I see? A guy eating a bowl of cereal at the wheel of his car. He was holding the bowl in his right hand and steering with his left. When traffic came to a stop, he would grab the spoon with his left hand and furiously shovel spoonfuls of cereal into his mouth, then go back to steering when traffic started moving again. Open briefcase on passenger seat, tablet on wheel, phone in hand, paperwork everywhere, whilst overtaking me doing 40-45 on the A40 into London, turned 180, talking to shouting at kids in rear seat whilst overtaking me doing 56 on the motorway, changing clothes whilst driving, playing keyboard on lap, numerous roadhead sightings, couple hooking up on passenger's seat whilst someone else is driving, a transvestite drives around the North Cirque in London at night, naked from waist down, getting handy from passenger, whilst driving around Marble Arch. Driving on northbound I-5 one morning, I glanced over to see a guy flogging his dolphin on his morning commute, full on rowing up the suspect, while P played on his phone. Riding through Wisconsin one day, sitting in construction traffic on I-90, I looked to my left to see a woman slouched down with her dress pulled up. She was jilling mad hard, like gyrating and crap. When she realized that I was matching speed soon after she finished, she leaned over to look at me, gave a nervous smile and wave, and tried to get away after I gave her 2 thumbs up, but we were in 2-lane construction traffic. Bonus, she started again about 10 minutes later and gave me the bird as she got in front of me. I live in Wisconsin and people do some weird crap while driving. One time on the Beltline in Madison, I saw a girl FaceTiming her girlfriend while driving. The girlfriend's lady parts were all up on that little iPhone screen. Once she noticed myself, my girlfriend, and my girlfriend's 2 cousins gawking and laughing amongst ourselves, she flipped the bird and sped off away from us. Not a trucker, but I work in a school, and on the way back from a field trip a kid pointed out to the whole school bus that the guy in the car next to us at the red light was lighting up a bowl. He looked up at the school bus full of children and then took another hit. Mine's not as exciting, but I saw a topless lady. She was changing her clothes, no bra, and gave absolutely no fricks about it. We made eye contact and I gave her a thumbs up. I saw a dude going coke off his dashboard while driving down the freeway. Hey, he had fricking places to be okay. Go to multitask. Now I am not a trucker, but my father is, and from the ages of 9 to 13 years old I spend 8 weeks every summer trucking coast to coast with him on the road, and there is no better or worse place to learn about humanity, intimacy, and how fricking dangerous it is to drive. We saw everything from mouth stuff to hand stuff to all out banging, which when you're 12 years old means you spend a lot of time going back to the bunk hoping your dad doesn't realize you are jerking off to the idea of what you just saw. We also saw people doing all variety of activities, from eating, to reading a book, to putting on makeup. Heck, we even saw one set of passengers fighting each other while barreling down the highway doing 80 miles an hour to their inevitable yet deserved accident. Driving on its own is very dangerous, but add in the vastly casual nature people take to driving. So much so that they will literally do paperwork while traveling down the road, and I am now scared every time I hop in a car. But by far the weirdest thing my father and I witnessed was when we were going through over some mountain, and we saw a lady cutting up meat, like a steak, on a cutting board, with a butcher knife, while driving up a mountain. I hooked up while driving down a highway in North Carolina. I waited until no one was around and she climbed into my lap in a reverse cowgirl position, so she could grab the wheel if needed. Just as I'm starting to bob her head against the visor, a truck merges onto the highway beside us. We were in plain sight. I made eye contact with the trucker for a brief second. He just gawked. I looked away and let him pass. No one came. That crap is hard. I hope that trucker mentions me on this thread. Our missed connections. I'm not a trucker, but when I was in college, I was a call FFEMT. While driving back to the house one night after a run to the hospital, we noticed a car going conspicuously slow on the highway. Naturally, I slowed the ambulance down when we got next to him. What we saw was a young man, with hands on 10 and 2 and his eyes straight ahead, getting his dong absolutely devoured by a blonde girl whose face I never saw. He looked over at us with this goofy ass look on his face, so my partner and I gave him the obligatory thumbs up. He took the 10 hand off, returned us a thumbs up, and went back to driving. After a minute or two of cracking up, we sped away. Once saw a man and woman next to me on the interstate and she had her bra off and half her shirt raised up. Dude had one hand on the steering wheel and the other on her breast. No kissing, roadhead or anything like that. Dude was just driving down the road holding a boob. Pulled up next to a guy in a Mercedes. He was attaching a silencer onto the end of a gun. He noticed me looking and quickly rolled up the window and drove away rather quickly. Non-CDL driver here. Our trucks are still tall enough to see things. After about 5 years you see a lot of crap. But I think the one thing that sticks out in my mind. I once seen a dude driving with his knee and injecting himself with H or something that was in a syringe. I would say hey maybe I was insulin but I'm pretty sure you don't need a belt tourniquet. Oh did I mention he was naked? I called the cops. I was once out driving in snowy weather. When I see a truck parked with emergency lights on, I exit my car and walk over to see if I can help with something. But when I look inside I see a middle-aged guy wearing this weird fluffy animal costume while eating literally 50-80 eggs. They were peeled and stuffed in a brown paper bag. But he was just sitting there eating this huge bag of eggs in the middle of nowhere. So I ask if he needs any assistance, and after a long awkward eye contact of egg eating he just starts the truck and drive away. To this day I have never figured out why or how he sat there eating eggs dressed up as an animal. Life is strange in Scandinavia I guess. I was in high school band and we spent a lot of time on the road going to various competitions. We would rent 3 of these huge coach buses whenever we went to any competition. Once it was extremely late at night and we apparently got lost in some random town and needed to turn around in a Burger King parking lot. There was a single car in the lot and it didn't take us long to notice there was a couple banging in the back seat. They quickly found a blanket and threw it over themselves. Think about the situation from their perspective. Dead quiet. No one around. They get it going and all of a sudden here comes 3 giant buses with kids' faces plastered against the window. You have been visited by the safety steward. Little upvote in 16 seconds for 16 years of safe grinds. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check out another video. Or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.